Hey, Ray DelVecchio here from websiteprofitcourse.com, and today I'm going to take you through the process of switching WordPress themes. So you're looking at a personal blog of mine. I built this not too long ago, and it's fairly simple, only has a handful of posts and pages, but unfortunately the theme behind this website, they're stopping development next year. So to make sure that everything's secure with this website, I have to switch over to another theme, and I'm going to use Divi by Elegant Themes, which is right now the #1 most popular theme for WordPress. It's a drag and drop builder, and I put a lot of customizations into this through code that we're going to be able to duplicate with Divi. And that's really what we're going to try and do. Use almost the exact same design. You know, there might be a couple small minor differences here and there, but in essence, I'm just trying to clone this website over to Divi. So this is an interesting project. I know you're going to learn a lot, so stick with me for this entire video to see how it's done. And the first step is to do an audit of how the website's put together. So if we go to the WordPress backend here, there's a few sections that we want to go through. So the first one here is the old theme that I was using, which was iThemes Builder. They have this section called My Theme. They let you create different layouts and apply them to pages. And you're going to see how this is very similar to Divi's theme builder. So right now, this is pretty simple. I just have a full width layout, and I have a second layout which is called Welcome Gate, and this is the homepage layout that you're seeing over here. The only difference is that Welcome Gate layout is this banner. I have this call to action to download a free guide, and if we go to one of the inner pages, you got a picture of me there in my garden, and this is the full width layout. You have the featured image and the content from the page with no sidebar or anything, so it's very simple. So that's what we're going to duplicate with Divi. The next section that you want to go into is the settings here. So this is, again, the settings specific to the old theme. And I just want to scroll through to see what I set here. So they have an option to insert code into the head of the page. You can see here that I use FancyBox. FancyBox is just a pop-up library. So if I go over here and click this button, you can see we have this FancyBox window. It's also called a Lightbox. Some themes have that built in, but I added this in with this FancyBox code. And the only other thing I have on here is Typekit. So this comes with Adobe Creative Cloud and allows you to use custom fonts on your website. And if we scroll down to the rest of this page, I think that's the only things that we have added. Actually, the one other thing that we have is the favicon, the little icon up here in the browser tab. I uploaded that here from the theme settings. So what I recommend you do is just break out a piece of paper or a Word document, a Google Sheet, something like that, where you can log all of these customizations that you have in place so you know exactly what you need to duplicate. Next, we want to go into the appearance section. So this is obviously going to be on every WordPress site. If we go into the theme editor, that's where we're going to be able to see our child theme files if you created a child theme. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at your top level theme. So I have a child theme created here. Another way to access this is through FTP. So I got FileZilla open as well. You can go into the back end and check out the files on your child theme. So we just need to go to the WP content folder, themes, and this is the structure that I had before. Builder was the top level theme, the parent theme. Then Builder, they had a handful of child themes that you can start with. So I chose one called Mead, and then I created my personal customizations on a child theme called South Jersey Garden. So let's go into that. What I recommend you do is copy all of these files from your child theme, if you made any customizations to them, which I did, over to a folder on your local computer. So like I said, I did a lot of custom code, especially with the CSS. So I have these files now over here. If I need to copy and paste any CSS code on the new design, I'll be able to take those sections and do that. But hopefully with the Divi Builder, we can actually limit this. And if I go back to the top level here on my WordPress installation, I also have two other folders. This one is actually for FancyBox. You used to be able to just upload the FancyBox files to your web server, but now they serve that from their own CDN, so this is completely unnecessary. I won't need to copy that over. And then I have this folder here called Custom. This is where I put all my custom code files. So I have 4 files here, custom header. So the header is completely custom code. End content is just that little button that I showed you before to open up that pop-up. Homepage is just that welcome banner. And the shared functions are just a couple of lines of JavaScript to get everything working with the interactivity, and that includes the FancyBox along with the menu, which I custom coded. So let me go back to the website here, and I'll just quickly show you the menu. So right now this is a basic menu, but I custom coded the mobile menu on this because I didn't really like the way that the mobile menu looked before. If we go to a mobile size window, you can see that when I click this, it has a full overlay here. So this is something that, since I did with custom code, I might just eliminate this and go with the built-in Divi mobile menu. I'm not really set on making sure this looks exactly the same. As long as it functions okay, I'm fine with that. And if I bring up Notepad++, you'll be able to see the code that implements this mobile menu. So over here, I'll open up custom header.php. This is the HTML code for that. You got the logo here. You got the mobile toggle with that 3-line icon, the exit with the X. And this is a PHP statement where we call a function called WP nav menu, and that's what puts in our WordPress menu. So it inserts this main nav menu. So if I go back to the WordPress admin area, over to appearance menus, you can see here, this is our main nav menu, the home, the about, the blog, the contact. So you can set all your menu options from WordPress, and programmatically through that code WP nav menu, it inserts it. And then all of that functionality with the overlay, when I click the mobile icon, that's over here in the shared functions. It's all this code here. So I spent a good amount of time to implement this with code, but like I said, I don't think it's necessary. I just like doing little projects like that to learn how all these various things work. You know, the WordPress functions, PHP, JavaScript, jQuery. That's how I learned all of it. And I think it's good to hack into it just to get to know how it works. But at the same time, you don't want to customize too much because then it becomes difficult to maintain and remember how you did all these things. The last file that I want to show you here is the functions.php file, which was in our child theme folder. I have a couple customizations added here. That includes inserting Google Tag Manager so that we can put analytics on our website and measure the traffic and conversions. The last two customizations are adding shortcodes. So I have a shortcode here for an affiliate custom callout. Let me go back to my website here. I know I have it on the first one that I created, 7 Reasons to Start a Backyard Garden. And here it is right here. It's just this little window with a Buy Now button that links over to Amazon affiliate for this cedar raised bed kit. And then the last one is another shortcode for the email opt-in. So that was that pop-up window that we already showed before. And really what it does is just inserts the Mailchimp HTML code that we need to put that sign-up form onto our website. That's what all this is. And if you don't know about how to create a custom shortcode, I do have a separate tutorial that shows you that. I'll link that up here in the top right. Just to review, I think it's a good idea to back up your site completely, copy the important files that you've customized, whether that's within your child theme folder, the functions.php, if you have any additional code snippets. Go through your theme settings within the WordPress admin area over here. Whatever theme you're using, like I said, I'm using iThemes Builder. You kind of need to figure out how that's working with your current theme. And then the other two things I recommend that you do is log your site speed. So again, I'm not going to go through that now, but I have a separate video here which I'll link up in the top right that shows you how to optimize your speed, and that goes through logging your speed. I also think it's a good idea to take screenshots of your existing design. I use a Chrome extension. I think it's called Full Page Screen Capture. If you click on that, it'll take this entire screen capture, and you can download that either as a PNG file or a PDF. Go through your most important pages or the templates that you're using so you have a snapshot of what your theme looks like. That way you have it captured even after you convert over to your other theme if for some reason you want to go back and look at it, but that theme's not active anymore. So let's go over to our hosting so we can begin this process of transitioning to Divi. So we're here on SiteGround, and they give you the option to create staging copies of your live website. You can make changes to the staging copy and then push it to the live domain when you're done. And that's super useful if you're doing any big development tasks like we are by switching the WordPress theme. Usually managed WordPress hosts give you this ability. It's going to cost you a little bit more. If you're on a lower level, affordable host like HostGator, I don't believe that they have that built in. Now, I still do have websites hosted with HostGator, and before staging was a thing, all I used to do was create a separate domain. I bought a domain specifically to do development on. I would create WordPress installations within a subfolder of that domain, build it until I got approval, and then when it was done, I would just use a WordPress migrator plugin to transfer it over to the live domain. So you can do that if you don't have this staging available within your host. All we have to do is just create a staging copy. So I'm going to name it here. I'll just do Divi theme. and we'll create that. It's going to take a couple minutes here. And the good thing is they actually detect these additional folders that aren't part of the WordPress installation, the ones that we pointed out before, the custom and the fancy box folder, along with this file, which is just a Google authentication file for Search Console, and then a PHP error log. But since we're going to start from scratch, I'm not going to copy over any of these folders. I just want to copy over the standard WordPress folders. So let's confirm. So we're ready to go here. We have this staging copy available, and this gives us our URL. You can see it's staging2.southjerseygarden.com. So I'll open that in a new tab, and you'll see that we get the privacy error, and that's because we don't have SSL for the subdomain. So we just need to go back over to the security section, the SSL manager, and create an SSL certificate for that subdomain. We got a success message here. It actually failed the first time. I don't know why. I just hit the button again and it worked the second time. So let's go back to the site and refresh it. Let's see if we're working here. And it looks like we got everything here, but because I didn't copy over that custom folder, which included the code for the header and all that, we don't see that, which is fine because, like I said, I'm going to start building with Divi, and I'm going to redo what was done with custom code using the Divi builder. And since this is a clone, we can log into this using our existing credentials for WordPress under the live domain. So let's do that. We'll go into the admin area. We'll log in. And like I said, the first thing I want to do is get Divi installed on here. So we're going to go over to the appearance section. And in the next tab over here, I have my Elegant Themes member area open. This is the company that makes Divi. So I can download the Divi theme from here, and this is going to give us our zip file that we can upload. You can see Divi also has a plugin if you want to use it with a different theme. They actually do have an email opt-in plugin here called Bloom, which I've never used just because I would always hard code the Mailchimp code in there. Let's go back here and we'll add our new theme. We'll upload the zip file that we just downloaded. And let's click install. So we got it installed successfully. I'm not going to activate this one because just like I did with my previous theme, I want to create a child theme. So to do that, I'll use a plugin called Child Theme Configurator. Let me hit the add new button and we will install that. And it's the first one that pops up here. So let's install it. Let's activate it, and that's going to give us a menu, I think in the tool section down here. Yeah, we can go to child themes. And we want to create a new child theme. We got to select our parent theme, which is going to be Divi. We'll hit the analyze button, make sure everything checks out, and then we can name the theme directory, which I'm going to call SJG for South Jersey Garden. Keep it simple. If I expand this, this is where we can name the child theme. So I'm also going to change this from Divi child to SJG. And in option number 8 here, I'm just going to check this off to make sure that we copy our menus and our widgets. So with these options selected, we'll create the new child theme, and it says that it's generated successfully. So if we go back to the appearance theme section, we're going to activate our child theme, Divi SJG. And if we go back to our site, we're going to see that it's going to be basically a blank website. I mean, we're going to have all our content, but there's going to be no design in place. So we have the Divi default menu, which they're choosing every single page that I have created here, along with some of the categories. So we're going to need to do some work on this. But let me just go back here, and I'm going to delete the old themes. So I'm going to delete all these builder themes, builder, mead, and then the child theme that I had before. We're ready to start, and the first thing that I want to do is go into the Divi settings. So once you install Divi, you're going to have this menu down here, and we're just going to go through some theme options. So the first time I used Divi, I was using their default header where you upload the logo here, and you set the menu through the Appearance Customize section. I'm going to do a different route this time using their theme builder. So the only thing that I want to set on here is the color palette. I chose a color palette from a site called coolers.co. I got that here, so I'm going to set the default color palette. That way when I'm doing any customizing, these will be preloaded in there, and I just have to select from these colors that I already have. So the primary one is that green. So we'll paste that in and do this for the rest of these colors. So we got all of them ready to go. Let me save this really quickly. I'm not sure if it saves in between tabs, but I just want to do that. Then I'm going to go into the updates section. And this is where you put your Divi username and API key. That's going to allow you to get access to the Divi updates. I have the Divi lifetime license, which I recommend that you get. It doesn't cost much more than the yearly license, and you get updates forever. It's well worth the price. And actually, the last theme that I was using, iThemes Builder, they didn't have a lifetime license available. So I went through my past bills, and I paid, I think it was around $1,200 over the years to have access to their theme that I used on pretty much all of my client websites and personal websites. I chose it probably about 7 or 8 years ago. You get so much more value out of the Divi lifetime license. I'm over here within the Elegant Themes member area, and if you go to your account menu, you can just click the username and API key. I have a couple created here, so I'm just going to copy one of them, and I'll paste that in with the username. So now that we save that, we'll be able to get updates in the future. And one final thing that I want to do is go to the Builder section and the Advanced tab. I had a couple issues building a site before with this, the static CSS file generation. I was making some changes in the back end, but wasn't seeing it when I was refreshing the front end. And I think it has something to do with the Divi cache. So I just want to clear this and then disable this, save the changes. And once we launch the website, when we're done with the design, we can go ahead and go through the performance, enable that, and then also go over here to the general performance tab to do some more optimization. But obviously you don't want to run into cache problems when you're building the site, because you're constantly making changes and want to see them live on the front end. So we can start building, and I'm going to go into the theme builder. So the way that this works is very similar to what I just showed you with the iThemes Builder layouts. You basically can create layouts. You can add custom headers, custom body, or add a global header, global body. So I'm going to add a global header and a global footer and create the default layout that we're going to use along with the homepage layout that includes that banner. Let's click into the header to start building that, and we'll build the global header. I'll just start from scratch since I'm doing something really simple. The header that we had before was just 2 columns. We have our logo on our left and the menu on the right, so I'll do a 50-50 split column layout. For the logo, we'll just add an image module, and we already have this uploaded, so we can just select it from our media library. If I just search for logo, it should pop up. Because we are going to use a green background, I'll choose the one with the white font. So let's upload that, and before I do the menu, let me change this section setting to the green background. So we can go into our color palette that we set before, and there we go. I mean, you can see how quickly that came together. Now we'll do the menu. Right now it's showing the default Divi menu, not the one that we set within the WordPress menus. Now it does have it selected here, so it looks like for some reason if I deselect it and select it again, we got the right menu in there now. We'll also set the background of this to our green color. And if we go into the design, this is where we should be able to set the text to white. So let's check out our menu text. We got the menu text color. We'll set that to white. And we can pick an active color, make it slightly off-white. So something like hex code CCC. That'll give us a little bit of contrast. And let me see what it looks like bold here. We'll change the menu font weight to bold and make it slightly bigger. So we'll go up to 18 pixels. And we can do a little bit of testing to see what this looks like on a mobile menu. We may have to adjust. We can change our text alignment to right. And then you may want to test a drop-down menu. But in this case, I actually don't have a drop-down menu on this website. If you'd like, you can go into the drop-down menu section here and do some adjustments. And they also allow you to change your text color from dark to light. It looks like I just did that manually by setting it to white, but we probably could have just checked this off. But I'm okay with this. Let's take a look at our live website and just compare it really quickly. And you can see that the one difference here is that there's a little extra padding on this. So we're going to go up into the section settings here. You can see you can drag and drop with Divi. What I like to do is go into the section settings, into the design tab, and within the spacing here, you can see this is what we just custom set with that drag and drop. And then just to make sure that they're even, you know, I don't have like 33 pixels and then 35 on one. I'm actually going to set this to something really small. Let's do 5 pixels top and bottom. And we may just want to adjust this because I kind of want these menu options to be a little bit more vertically centered. I don't know if you could actually do that within here, or if maybe I can adjust that through the spacing. Let me check out this and see if I can maybe add a margin to it. Let me see what happens if I do 20 pixels. There you go, it's pushing it down. So let's go to 30, and I think that looks pretty good. So let's save that. click this button down here, hit save. We got our global header in place, so this should now be showing on every page of our website. I'll exit out of here right now, and you can see when it is set, we have this green background on our global header. And this is our live website. This is our staging website. So let me refresh that, and let's just compare the two. And it looks like I may have an issue with cache. Actually, I might not have saved it back here. Yeah, so I got to save these changes. Now we got all changes saved, and I think it should work now. And there you go. So it's not exactly the same. Like I said, I'm not matching this pixel for pixel. I might make a couple adjustments after, but you can see we've basically recreated what we have. And the only difference is because I'm logged in, instead of having this login button, I got this members thing here, which I do have a membership plugin installed on here, but I really haven't set it up completely yet, so I'm not going to dig into that into this tutorial. Let's move forward with the footer, and we'll take a look at our footer on this page. And I don't have anything fancy here. This is just text with a couple links to the privacy policy and the terms and conditions pages. So let's go back to our theme builder. We'll add a global footer. We'll start this from scratch. We have a single row here, and I'm just going to add a text section. So let me just go back to this and copy the text. Now actually what I want to do here is add dynamic text. That's going to allow us to insert a variable for this year, so we don't have to hard code 2021, and obviously when it switches to 2022 we'd have to do that manually. Divi lets you add dynamic text through this thing here, this dynamic content button. So let me go back to the visual area. I'll remove all the text there, and we'll insert dynamic text, and if we go to the last option here, current date, we put in the text before and after our date. So I just need to copy this, and I'm going to include that space. So we'll just copy and paste this, and then after it we're just going to copy the all rights reserved along with the space after the date. And if we look here, they're putting the full date. I just want the year. And using the PHP date function, you can insert variables with whatever format you want. So to get the full year, we just need to do capital Y, and that's going to include the date and just the 4-digit year. So let's select that, and we've got our text there. We'll add another text section. One thing I noticed about Divi is that it's hard to add a module below. So normally you just got to add it above and just drag and drop it down. So we'll add that text section there, and actually it is going below. I don't know why the plus sign was above it, but I've had that issue before. Let's go back here and just copy and paste those two links, and I got to link them up. So I just want to grab those pages from the staging site. So I have the staging URL, and then when we push to the live domain, it'll replace those staging URL links to the live website links. For now, just to save time so I don't have to exit this global footer, I'm just going to put in a placeholder, just the hashtag. So we got that good to go. I'm going to edit the background of this section. We'll make it our dark color, and I want to center this text. Not sure if I can do that from the row. Let me see here. And it doesn't look like it, so let me go back to the text module and edit those. Go into the design, and we can align the text down here. We'll center it. We'll do the same thing with the links. Go over to the design and center our text. And I'm going to add one more thing in here, and that's social icons. And this is what I was talking about before. In order to add another module here, if I hover over this text module, you can see that I don't know if you can see it, the gray text plus button is right under that green row button. So it's kind of tough to do. I just add it anywhere, and then you can drag and drop once it's added. So if we search for social, we can add our social media follow buttons. For this, I have a Facebook page and an Instagram page, so I'll change that over here. And then you can edit the links, but just to save time, I'm going to do that later. And let me see if I can center this. It actually looks like I might be on the Instagram specific customizer. Yeah, there you go. So let me go back to the social media follow module, and I think this is where I'll be able to center it. There we go. So we got that centered, and then if we want to drag and drop, we can just hit this cursor arrow, and I'll put that right up top there. So we got a nice global footer. We'll save. Make sure we save all the changes once we exit out of here. And refresh our page. And there we go. I'll work on the homepage banner next, and then we can start editing the content. Here within the Divi theme builder, we can duplicate our existing template by hitting that button. And this is where you can choose where to apply that template. So if you want to do it with all pages, all posts, or choose specific pages or children of specific pages, right here I'm just going to select home page. We'll save that. And let me delete that custom header. And I'm going to replace that with the global header. I thought that would copy over when I duplicated it. And then we're going to add our custom body. Before I do that, let me just rename this template. Let me save the changes just in case that didn't save when we go into the editor here. And we will build our custom body. We'll do this from scratch, and we want a single row, but I think by default this is just a regular section. I actually want to add a full width section. So we're going to add a new section, do full width, add the full width header, and that will give us pretty much the same layout that we had before on the live website over here. And I'll just need to center it. And let me just delete this other section right now. And I'll copy and paste the text. And now I can go into the module settings to edit this. Let me click out so I can get back into the settings here. And the button is free guide. I also want to edit this button style, but instead of doing it from the module here, I want to do it within the Divi settings. So if I add buttons anywhere else, they all look the same. So let me save that, and then I'll go into the section settings here to add our background. So I'm just going to make this background color black, and actually it looks like that might be the module color, not the section color. So let me exit out of that. Go back to the module, and let's edit the background from here, and there you go. So let me just make it black really quick, and what I want to do is upload the image that I had before, and then we could change the opacity of it. I'm not sure if you just do that right from here or within the background color section, but let me upload this. And now I just need to see where to do the overlay. Let me go into the design. Here you go, overlay color. So we can make this overlay color dark, and I change the opacity from here. So let me get it looking almost the same as that. I think that's pretty good. And let me change the spacing here. I got a little more spacing above and below the text so you can see more of the image. So let's do, right now, it's kind of hard to see because the size here is gray, but that's about 80 pixels. And like I said, I usually go into the design to manually type in that spacing so it's even on both sides. So let's go down to 80 and set the bottom to 80. And let me center everything here. Go into the layout, text align center, and then we can make this font a little bit bigger. Do the title text. We'll make it bold. And right now it's 30 pixels. Let's bump that up to, let's say 45 for now. And at the end, I'll see if I can easily change this font over to the Typekit fonts. But for now, I'm not too worried about that. I just want to get all the pieces in place. And then I'll make the body text a little bit bigger as well. So that's 14 right now. Let's go to, let's say 21 pixels. And I'm not sure if I can add spacing in between that paragraph or below the heading here. That's something that I may need to do with CSS if I want to adjust that. Yeah, I don't see an option to easily do that, but let me save this right now, and then I'll edit the button style from the Divi options. And obviously I need to add another section down here under that banner for the content. But now that we got that saved, let's exit out, save the changes, and take a look at our home page here. See what that looks like on the live site. And there you go. I mean, you can see how similar we got pretty quickly there with the builder. So let me go over to the Divi theme options. We got to go to Appearance Customize section, and this is where you can set all your defaults for things like typography, the buttons, all that. So let's go into the buttons. We'll do the button style. So we want the text color to be white. We want the background color to be our red. And for some reason that opacity is all the way down. We got to set it up there. I don't want a border. And I'm going to add a little bit bigger border radius. And it looks like on here I got capitalization, so we're going to capitalize that. When we hover over it, we get that icon on the right, which I don't have over here. And you can change that icon if you'd like from this section here, but I'm totally fine with that right arrow. And I like the way this looks right now. Maybe make it a tiny bit bigger as well. I think I had that paragraph size at 21. I'm pretty sure. I don't even remember. It was like a minute ago. So let me publish this. We'll publish these changes. We'll go back here and look into the hover style. And I like to set this manual, even though it's working fine here. Sometimes this does show the old style and not the default style. So let me set this to white. And we'll set the background color to a slightly lighter color. So let's make it a little bit brighter here. There you go. So let's publish that. And we got our button style ready to go. So now let's go ahead and add the content under this banner section. So we'll exit out of the customizer, go into the custom body here, and we got to add a new section for the post content. And we'll make this a regular section, one row. And let me just type in content, and there we go, post content. So we can edit this, but let me just save it really quickly and see what it looks like before we make any edits. I know over here on the live website that I think this is just pulling the featured image from that page. I'm not sure if this does that by default. So let me exit out of here, make sure we save it. Just take a quick look at how the post content section looks without any customizations. And that's pretty much what we had before. Obviously my font's a lot bigger here, which we can edit. And again, if you want to do this site-wide, it's best to do that from the customizer, not from the post content module within that theme builder. But the first thing I want to do is see if I can get that featured image showing along with the title. The title's not showing either. So let me go back to the custom body, and I need to add a module here. I'm going to do it to the bottom, and we can add the post title module, and this is where the featured image looks like it shows. So let me just drag it up here so it's above the post content, and we'll go into the settings. Let's check out the elements. So since this is the home page, I don't want to show this meta information, you know, the date, the author, all that kind of stuff. It is showing the featured image, and we're showing the title, and I believe that I have everything centered on this. I'm not sure if I want to do that. I might just keep it left aligned, but just center the post title itself. So let me do that. Go into the title text here, center that. We'll make it bigger to match this. Again, I forget what that was. I think it was 45. Let me do 32 pixels here. Normally I do like to keep all these standardized, keep these numbers, you know, the title font, the body font, keep it at a certain ratio, but you know, I'm just winging it here to some degree to save a little bit of time. So now that we got this, let's save it. I don't think I need to go back and exit out of this. I think this is going to appear here. We'll take a look. And yeah, we got it. Now obviously you can tell on this one the featured image is above the title. Right here it's below the title. That's no big deal, but I do want to make this bold really quick. So let me go back into this module, and we will make the title text bold here. I just got to edit it from this drop down. And another thing you can edit if you do want a little more spacing is not just the padding or the margin, but the line height of the heading. The only issue with that is sometimes if it drops down to a second line and you have too much in there, there's too much spacing between the first and the second line. So it's up to you whether you want to add the line height, the margin, or the padding. Those are little details that you can go over when you're done with the major parts of the design. So let me just make the body font a little bit bigger. I'll do that from the customizer. So we'll exit out of there. Again, it said all changes saved, but I'm a chronic saver. So let me go over here into the general settings, typography. So body text size, right now it's 14 by default. I want to make it, let's do 16. I probably could go a little bit bigger. At least it is on the other live website. Header text size, we'll make that 32. And it actually, yeah, that is changing it there. It looks like it's overriding the custom setting that I had before on the banner module. But it does standardize it, so I do recommend that you do it from here as opposed to editing every single module on the theme builder. And right now the header line height is 1. If I change that, you'll see how it adds a little bit more space above and below that line. But like I said, if it drops to a second line, like let me go down to a mobile size here, you can see what I mean by that extra spacing there. So if we revert this back to 1, there's basically no space in between these two. That's what the line height controls. So I'm going to do actually like 1.3. I feel like that's a pretty good number. And to make sure that every title is bold, I will make the font style bold. And you can see here we have our menu, which we're going to need to adjust a little bit. Right now it's still using that blue accent color, and we got the link color as well on here. So usually I do recommend going through the appearance customizer section first. I skip that just to dig right into building, but it's usually a good idea to do that. And you can see here the link color doesn't look like it's changing, so there's some kinks we got to work out here. That's where I usually just get a piece of paper, notepad, something like that, where you can list all of these things that you need to update as you go along, because I recommend that you focus on the big stuff first and then tackle all these smaller issues at the end. So we'll publish that and exit out of here, and then we'll add our global body for the default website template, which is just the post content. Let's start that. And right now on my blog, I think I mentioned this before, I just got a full width layout. I may actually keep the sidebar on this one. And if we go over here, this is the live website. You can see it's full width. This is the staging website, and by default, these blog pages and posts use a right sidebar. So you can see it's got the right sidebar, but there's nothing there right now. So I'm going to include that. I'll just put my social icons in there, and I'll probably build out that sidebar, whatever else I want to include in there after I'm done this video. But we're going to add that from the global body here. So we're going to pick this layout, which is like, I guess, about 2/3 post content, 1/3 sidebar. So I'll just search out the post content module, add that in, and then on the sidebar here, we can just use the social media follow. And kind of like everything else that we talked about here, I got that social media follow down here. I probably could just make this a global module and repeat it up here. That's probably what I should do. So let me give that a shot, actually. I'm going to exit out of this, delete that right now, and I forgot to include the post title. I probably should have done that first so I don't have to drag it up there. But we'll do that, drag it up. We're going to save this right now. Let me just make sure again that this is saved over here, and I think it might not be. So we'll save those changes, refresh it again, and now we have nothing. And actually, this is because by default, the blog page is completely blank. I have that set to show the posts within the settings reading section, I believe. So you can see that set to the post page, but obviously if we go into that page, there's going to be nothing there. And so Divi right now is showing the post content, which is nothing. So I have to actually create a template for that blog page to show excerpts of my blog posts. So let me go ahead and do that. We'll go back to the theme builder. I'm going to create a new template. We're going to set it to the blog. We'll create that template. We got our global header, our global footer, And instead of the global body, we're just going to add the custom body that's going to show these excerpts. We got the same row structure there. And let me see what content module this is. I'm not 100% sure. So I think it might be the blog module. There you go, and it's showing the posts just like we want. Let me check that off. We'll save this and make sure it's saved over here. Let's refresh our page and see what we got. And now we're back in action. And then let me give the social media icon module a shot here. We're going to go into our global footer. Since it's global, we should be able to do this from any of these templates. So I'll just go into the default website template for the footer. And let me see how to save this as a global module. Yeah, we'll do save to library. Layout name, we will call this social icons. And we're going to make it a global item. We don't need a category for this, so let's just save it to the library. And global modules have this green color, this like lime green. So we got that now. We're going to save it. And let's see if we can insert that into our sidebar so we don't have to manually customize that. Let's go into our blog page here. We will add a module, and instead of doing a new module, we're going to add from library, social icons, and there you go. It's already done. So anything you're going to reuse more than once, create a global module and do it that way. And you can make global modules or modules out of anything here. The post content modules, the rows, the sections, however you want to do it, whatever level you want to do it at. Makes it really easy to reuse and edit in one place and then apply that anywhere. So let's save, refresh our blog page and take a look. Now we got our social icons. Let's go into our individual blog post. And that looks a little bit funky. I'm not sure if that's a cache issue. But let me go back here. We'll create a new template for our blog posts. And let me duplicate this one. And we're going to use it for all posts. We'll save that. Go into the custom body. And we're going to replace this blog module with the post content and the post title. So let's save the blog post template. And refresh our post page here. And you can see we still have errors. This is the type of thing where I really believe it's a cache issue. Either that or I just didn't save the changes. It's always the smallest thing. So let's refresh, and obviously it's working now. So I got all of these pretty much in place with the templates. The only other one that I want to look at is the page template. So if I go into this, it's going to use the default template, but for pages, I don't want to show the author name or the date. That's a blog specific feature. So I'm going to use that default template as the page template. So let's go back to the theme builder. We have our homepage template, our blog page template, our post template, and the default website template is going to be that global body that we were editing before. So I'm going to add in our social icons from the library on the sidebar there. And you know what? I'm going to make this bigger. Let me go into the design options here. I think I could do it from the icon section, the custom size. Let me drag it over here so you can see. So right now it's 16. We're going to make that 21, which is what we used before. So that looks a little bit better, fills out the space a little more. And then here from the post title section, this is where I can get rid of that meta information. And I'm just seeing this feature now. I was talking about it before, the featured image placement below title or above title, or the title with a background image. And we have all of our templates in place now. Let me just do a once over, save. So we got our page template without the meta information. It also looks like we might have some extra padding in here compared to the blog. Because yeah, the blog is aligned with that image. So I got a few things I'm going to have to mark down that we're going to need to test out and work out with the design. But we got the blog page that's showing 5 blog posts. If we had, I think I only have 5 blog posts on here. If we had more, we should see our next or previous button. And then if we go into one of these, it is once again messing up here. I think this is going to be a cache issue. Let me go back and go into another blog post here, and that looks fine. So I think I just need to clear the cache. There's usually like 3 to 5 layers of cache that you might have to debug. You got your browser cache, you got the server cache, you have WordPress plugin cache, your theme might have some type of caching like Divi does, and it can be very frustrating if you can't figure that out. I might have to clear it from within SiteGround Site Tools. I'm going to go ahead and debug that because I don't want to sit on here for 20 more minutes trying to figure that out, but I'll let you know how it goes, and then we'll start clearing up these other issues and putting the finishing touches on this website. We're back here, and I did confirm that this was a cache issue. I actually jumped on a support chat with Divi a couple weeks ago for another site where I had a similar issue, and this is the set of steps that they recommended to clear the cache. You first want to clear the CSS cache by going to Divi, Theme Options, Builder, and hit the Clear button. While you're building the site, you want to disable the static CSS file generation. Then you clear your WordPress plugin cache, your browser cache, the server cache from your hosting provider, and this is the step that actually worked for me. It was clearing this WP content ET cache folder. You can just delete that entire directory and it'll rebuild when you refresh the site. We're going to just work out a few of the kinks with the header. So let me go into the Appearance Customize section and see if I can adjust a few things from here, and then we'll go back to the global header builder. When we drop down here to a mobile size menu, you can see that the menu goes to a new line, and that's because that 50-50 column split turns into 100% width and 100% width for each of them. And I'm actually okay with that, but I do want to center this. So I think what I'm going to do is just go back to the global header and center both the logo and this, which right now you can see the accent color is blue. Same thing with this bar up here. So let me go into the settings here. I'm not exactly sure where this is edited. So here, the layout settings, general settings, layout settings. This is where you can change the accent color. So let's see if this fixes it. And it doesn't look like it changed anything on here. Maybe I make it this light beige. So yeah, it doesn't look like anything's editing on here. So let me just publish that. Test it out. And actually it does work right there. It works with the bar, but not the 3-bar icon. So let's jump into that. We will center the logo. And the other thing which I forgot to do is link up the logo. So let me just go back here. I'm going to copy the home link, which is to our staging area. And I can go into the logo module. I'll add the link right here. And then in the design tab, we can go to the alignment and center it. So we'll check that off. And then we're going to do the same thing with the menu. We can go into the design tab, the layout, and instead of doing left aligned, we'll center. And I also want to edit the mobile menu. So if I go to the drop down menu section here, this is for the full width drop down menu. And then if you scroll down, you can edit the mobile menu. So I want to change the background color. Instead of doing green on green, I'm going to make that white. And then I'll make the mobile menu text color dark. So let me save those changes. We can drop down to a mobile width here. And if I open up the menu settings, I can test this out. And you can see that we got that working now. First, let's save. And let's test everything out on the live website. Let me reload it. And drop down here to a mobile width. Oh, just clicked off of that accidentally. So there you go. Everything looks pretty good with the menu, the logo. And one other thing that I might change here, when we had the full width menu here, I have the margin on top. I think it was about 30 pixels to make sure that this text is kind of centered with the logo. I think I might be able to edit that when we drop down to the mobile width here. Let me give that a shot. We'll go back to the theme builder. And I know that with most of these Divi Builder modules, they give you the option to adjust the breakpoint settings. So if I go to the design and the spacing, you can see here with the margin, we set that to 30 pixels. If you click this little icon here that looks like a phone, that lets you choose desktop, tablet, and phone. So let me drop down here to a tablet width, and I think I could set this to something like maybe 10 pixels. And you can see that gives us a little bit less empty space there. I may even have a margin. I'm not sure if there's a margin bottom when this drops down to 2 rows as opposed to 2 columns. I probably could set it to 0, but I'm cool with that for now. So let's check that off and we'll save everything. And then we'll move on to the next step, which I'm going to copy and paste the code for the opt-in. So if we go to the home page here, I think I have this on the bottom. Yeah, so this is an opt-in shortcode. This is custom. I custom coded this and added this to my functions.php file. So I have to include that within the functions.php, all that code, which we're going to copy and paste. And then I did one other thing here. Let me pull up the code. I also included that within the end of every single blog post. So with my old theme, I copied over the template for the single blog post, and I have this one single line here, include once, endcontent.php. That's the custom file. And if I open up endcontent.php, you can see all that is one single line, which is do shortcode. That's the WordPress function that tells you to run this shortcode, and it's the same opt-in shortcode that you just saw. And if we go over to the functions.php, all the code that generates that opt-in shortcode is right here. I mentioned that I also have the affiliate shortcode, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste both of these right now. So let's do that. We're going to paste it into our functions.php file within our new Divi child theme. And really, that is the reason you want to create a child theme. If you're using that functions.php file, you don't actually need a child theme with Divi if you're just doing all the editing through the builder. But if for some reason you edited that functions.php file without a child theme, a Divi update would overwrite that. So we got this copied, and I want to go back to the, not the theme builder here, but the appearance theme editor section. And this is where we can edit our functions.php file that was created when we made our child theme. This code right here was automatically added from child theme configurator. So at the end of it, I'm just going to add this new code. And when I press enter there, it's actually adding these 2 forward slashes, which that's actually a comment within PHP. We want to eliminate them because commented lines don't get run. So let's paste in our code. And I'm not going to go through all this because, like I said, this is custom code. All it really is that pop-up that we saw. Here's the live site. So if I go into here, it brings up this pop-up. Now this is also done with FancyBox, so I'm going to have this opt-in shortcode there, but we're not going to be able to pull it up until we integrate FancyBox with this. So this is a little bit advanced. At least we should see that line instead of that shortcode on the home page. So let's update this file on the staging site. Make sure nothing breaks over here. And hopefully this little shortcode line gets replaced with the actual link, even though it probably isn't going to work because we don't have FancyBox. It looks like right now the link is a dark color, so I'm going to have to edit that. The link color should be red like this. I got a couple ideas why. This probably just has something to do with the code and not having any custom CSS in there. So let me right click and inspect it. Yeah, it looks like this element is an H4. So I would bet that if this was just a regular paragraph element, that'll probably be red. So let me change that, and yeah, we got that going. And the other thing is this is a div as opposed to a paragraph, so there's no margin. So I can add the margin in there. Now you can also do this inline, or you can add custom CSS to the customizer section. All of my CSS was in those files, and I copied them over. So I got all the style files from the theme itself, and then also anything that I added to that style additional section within the appearance customizer. So that's where we can add our custom CSS. Let me go over there and see if I can get this working without editing too much. So if we go to the additional CSS, that's where we can paste in our CSS code. And I will open up my style.css file from my old child theme. And this is all the built-in styles from the theme builder themselves. And then if we go to the bottom, I usually add my own custom styles. And I should have a comment in here which tells you where that starts. Right here, custom styles by array. So this is the way that I was editing before, and I used to do a lot through manual code. And you can see here this starts on line about 2015. and goes to about 2161. So there's probably about 150 lines of custom CSS code. And I want to simplify this since we're using Divi Builder to do a lot of the customization that I had before. But let me find the end content, and I see it right here. So this right here is the end content CTA H4 before, and this is what added that sun icon. So let me go ahead and do that. We should be able to see it right here. And if I paste that in, you can see it adds that sun icon right there. You got to look up a chart to see what the code is for that icon value if you want to change that. I can also add padding here. So if I just add this class end content CTA, we can either add margin or padding. Either one should work for us. So let me do padding, and I will do 20 pixels on the top and bottom and none to the left. So that kind of helps us out there. I'm going to keep this, which I just changed to a P within the Chrome inspector, but that's an H4 element right now. So I want to change this little line before the download this free giveaway line. That's a paragraph element. I want to add the padding below that too. So let me paste that in and target the paragraph element and add a padding bottom to that. We'll do 20 pixels as well. And it doesn't look like this one worked. So let me bring up the inspector for this and see if there's any particular reason why that is. And it looks like it's getting overwritten here. You can see this is what we just added, that padding bottom. And I think within Divi, with the last paragraph on any particular page, they just set that padding bottom to 0. So that's what's happening right there. I can actually hack this if I want. Instead of adding the padding bottom to the paragraph element, I can add padding top to the H4 element. So let's give that a shot. Instead of targeting the paragraph element, we'll change that to H4 and make this padding top. And we can change the color of the link to our red. So let me just see what the hex code is for this red. And I can copy that. And let me just paste it in right there. And then I'm going to have to copy over this. We're going to target the H4 anchor element. And let me cut this, and we're going to do the color. And there you go. If I had a little bit more time, I probably would integrate it a little bit more nicely without doing this little CSS hack. But I think that also goes to show you how CSS works if you're not familiar with it. If you can combine the Divi Builder with a little bit of CSS knowledge, there's really nothing that you can't do. And if you can take that even one step further with a little bit of HTML and PHP knowledge, like we just showed you with the functions.php, you really become a master at WordPress. Now let's start work on getting this pop-up window to open when I click this link here. So we're going to exit out of here. And I have the hidden content within that functions.php file in that opt-in shortcode. It's already there. So all we need to do is set up FancyBox with this. So I'm going to go into my code that I copied over from the live website. I think it's going to be within this includes.php. And if I open this up here, you can see that we're appending a couple files here, custom header.php, which we already recreated, homepage.php, which we recreated, and then shared functions.js. So let me open up that one. And this is the line right here that's going to allow us to enable FancyBox on our link. That link has the class FancyBox, and then this function here is what sets it up so that when we click on it, FancyBox opens. So let me just copy and paste all of this. I'm going to end up deleting this other code here, which was for the mobile menu, which we discussed before. And we can do that from the Divi theme options under the integration page. You can add code either to the head of the blog or the body. So I'm going to add this to the body section. Because this is JavaScript code and not a JavaScript file, we have to add the script HTML tag to this, and we have to add the closing tag at the bottom. And then we'll go ahead and delete all this code for the mobile menu that we don't need anymore. And then we also need to include the library for FancyBox. So this is what sets up FancyBox to open on that link click. But obviously, to get this function to run, we need to make sure that the FancyBox library is included. We'll add that to the head section here. Now, I'm not sure if I have that copied into my file here. I may have missed that. So let me log into the live website. And I think that just like Divi within the old theme settings, I'm pretty sure this is where I included that. And yeah, it's right there. So it's just the fancy box and the typekit fonts. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy both of these right now. The typekit fonts won't be integrated until we set that font value. So let's just copy that. I'm going to exit out of here to make sure we don't mess up and edit on the live website as opposed to the staging website. And then I'll paste in that code to the head section within the Divi theme settings. And all the fancy box is just two files. You have a CSS file, which gives you the style for that modal window. And then you have the script, which is the fancy box library. And they're both served from this CDN. So I think that this should open it. We'll test it out and see if it works. Now, the style won't be in place because I'm going to need to copy and paste the CSS from that modal pop-up window. We go over to the staging website. Let's reload, and let's see what happens when we click this link. Okay, so yeah, this is an issue with Divi. By default, they have something called smooth scrolling whenever you click on a link. I had to do this on another website, so I got to add one more quick function to that jQuery code. So I think this is going to do it. Like I said before, this is jQuery code that's targeting any element that has the class fancy box added, and you can chain functions together. So that's what we're doing here. I'm going to add this function, add class, and I found this just through searching. If you add this class et smooth scroll disabled, that should remove that functionality. And then once we have that, we chain the fancy box function. I think this is going to work. let's take a look here. We'll make sure we're good to go. We'll save it, and we'll give this another shot. And it looks like the smooth scroll disabled worked because we're not scrolling to the top, but the pop-up is not working here. So I'm going to need to debug this a little bit. I was able to figure this out, and it was a really simple thing. I've had this issue before. I don't know exactly how to explain it all that well, but basically with jQuery code, which is included within WordPress, you normally are able to use this $ in place of using the word jQuery. That's what I do right here. But I guess with Divi, there's like some conflict with that. So all I did was brought up Google's Chrome inspector. If you go to the console window, you should be able to see an error. And I just searched out that error, which was fancy box is not a function. I found this page on Stack Overflow, and they have the answer here, which says just add this line of code, variable $ equals jQuery.noConflict, and that should clear up that conflict with using that $. So I added that here and saved it. And if we go over here, let's refresh the page again, and we actually have this working now. There's no errors on the console window. And when we click it, we get our pop-up, but obviously it's not styled. So I'm just going to need to copy and paste the CSS code into the customizer so that this is styled correctly. I don't know if it's within style.css or styleadditional.css. So let me actually open up the style additional, because that was what was in the previous customizer. Probably a lot less. And yeah, it doesn't look like it's there. So we'll go back to the style.css. Scroll all the way down. Here's my custom styles. And I'm looking for the Mailchimp forms. So I believe that this section should do it. I'm not quite sure if I have anything down here. It doesn't look like it. And I also have the affiliate callout, which I'm going to copy and paste. So let me go over to the Appearance Customize section where we can add our custom CSS code. And let me see if it works on here. Yes, we got the pop-up there. Let's paste this in and see what it looks like. And I also want to add a comment here just because I like to organize the CSS code so you know what sections of CSS are being applied to the sections on the website. So we'll paste that in. It looks pretty good. The only real thing here, there's I think two minor issues, and that is the download button doesn't look the same, and that's because I had a custom style in that before. I think there's a class within Divi that I can add so that this looks like the Divi button, the Divi default button style. And the other thing I have on here is a lock, which this is actually an image that I add before that paragraph element. And also this is a little bit smaller text and gray text. But what I want to do is, I think I'm just going to add an emoji. That way I can just embed that into the paragraph itself as opposed to adding an image to this theme. So let me go back to the customizer. I'm also going to go back to my code, and yeah, right here, this opt-in section, you can see this is how I add the lock. I have this lock class added to that paragraph, and then we have a lock.png file, which that's the image you were just seeing before. So instead of using this, I'm just going to replace that with an emoji. Makes it a little bit easier. And then I also have this affiliate callout. So let me copy this code, and we'll just move on to that page so you can take a look. If we go into the blog, the affiliate callout is within this first post. So it's this section right here. So let's take a look at what this looks like after we paste in our CSS code. And it's the same thing. We pretty much have this working correctly, but the button doesn't look the same. So I'm going to have to add the Divi class that is applied to buttons to both of these so that we get that button style to match up. Let us publish this. We will go back into the code to add that class. So let me go to the appearance theme section, and we'll go into our functions.php. I'm sorry, I actually want to go into the theme editor there. We'll go into our functions.php, and then here's the affiliate callout code. So the way that I did this before was this class btn red, and I'm pretty sure that the code for the Divi button is et_pb. I don't know what the PB stands for, and then it's underscore button. Pretty sure ET stands for elegant themes. I probably should look that up. I'm interested in why they do that, because all the classes that are part of the Divi builder have that prepended to it. So let me copy that, and I'll do the same thing with the opt-in shortcode. I just need to find the submit button on this Mailchimp form right here, input type submit, and we do the same thing, class button red. So I'm going to replace those, since that's what we were using on our previous theme, with the new class et_pb_button. So let's update that. Let's check it out from our theme customizer again. And hopefully we have the same button style that we see right here. Click the link, and there you go. Now there's a couple differences. You can tell that the hover option, we don't get that icon on the right, and then for some reason it's also showing no border radius on a hover. I'm not exactly sure why that is. Let's go over to the blog and take a look at the affiliate callout. This one looks like it's working a little bit better. Kind of the same thing. The border radius gets eliminated, but we do have the icon. And also the margin, or I'm sorry, maybe the padding above and below looks a little bit less. I don't care all that much about that. As long as it works, it's good to me. With these changes published, let me exit out of here. I'll just do one more quick test on the live website and see what this looks like. And we got that. We just need to add the emoji. Another thing that I'd like to do here is have this mouse cursor as opposed to just the arrow. And I think FancyBox makes it this hand icon that you can see here that allows you to kind of just scroll it down, swipe it away. But I want to change the cursor to a pointer on there. And let me just right click this and take a look quickly to see if I can figure out this border radius. We have this button selected here. You can see the ETPB button class adds all these styles, including the border radius. And then with Google Inspector, if you right click, you can actually force a state. So we're going to force the hover state. It looks like within our button hover, it actually does reset the border radius to 0. Was that actually, I don't remember if that was happening up here. Oh yeah, it is. Maybe I set that and just completely forgot. Now, I'm not exactly sure why the icon's not showing up, but I'm not too concerned about that as long as it works. So let me go back to the appearance customizer. We'll work out a few of those kinks right now. Go into our additional CSS. I don't see one for the submit, so let me just copy and paste this line. I'm not quite sure if there's a class. I don't think there's a class added called submit. Let me see if I can just right click and check this out. What I can do is actually just target the class etpb button. So let me do that. et_pb_button. And right now, like I said, well, you actually can't even see the cursor on here because they give you this red circle with the cross. But we can do this with CSS. If you type in cursor, you can change what the cursor looks like, and we want pointer. I also want to add a padding to the bottom. I can do either padding or margin. Let me actually do the margin bottom. And that will space out the button from that little byline that says your info will not be shared or sold. So let's make that 15 pixels. And it doesn't look like that's actually working there. Let me do something bigger. Nah. Let me publish it and see what it looks like on the live website. So this is a lot of like the little debug work that sometimes I normally do edit out of videos, but I think it's, you know, good to see. And we got our cursor working. So you can see that we have the pointer cursor when we hover over that button. Let me see why the margin's not working. And I actually do have this, I completely missed this line within our CSS. We target the fancy box inner class with this MC embed sign up and then input type equals submit. So that's what's giving us our padding and our margin. So if I just eliminate both of these, I think that this should just take on the margin and the padding of the Divi button. And so there you go. That shows you with them both eliminated. So I'm actually cool with that. And now when we hover over it, we do see that we get that space where the icon should be, but the icon's not showing. I think I had this happen on another website. I'll have to go check that out and see if I fixed it or not. But if I keep the margin to 0, or it looks like actually the padding might control that. Yeah, so what I might want to do is actually manually set the padding, but just eliminate that margin so that we have the margin under the button. So that's what I think I'm going to do. So let's go back here. We'll find that line for the submit, and here it is. Input type equals submit. So we're going to keep our padding, and we will eliminate the margin. And I'm going to make the padding a little bit smaller. Instead of doing 20/30, we'll do maybe 15 and 25. Now I'm not sure why that's not appearing there. It looked like it was working when we did it on the live website. Let's refresh and debug that. And yeah, we got the margin there. So something's going on where it's not appearing here. I don't know if maybe if I exit out of this window and try it again, it'll work. And yeah, it looks like it's working now. And the one last thing I want to do here is add that emoji to the bottom line. So let me just go to a site that I've been going to a lot lately, Emojipedia. If you just type in lock, you should be able to find one. And I'm going to copy that. We'll go back into the functions.php code. And here is the HTML element. I have the class lock and modal applied to it. Now within this is the only paragraph element. Every other element here is a div. So within CSS, I could just target that. I'm going to keep the class lock. I'm going to remove the class modal since that doesn't do anything. And then I'll paste in our emoji. Let's update that file. Go back to the customizer. And I'm just going to make that slightly smaller. Make it maybe like 90% of what it currently is. So we'll go into the additional CSS. Let me copy this ID for the Mailchimp form. I'll target p.lock, and I will make the font size 0.9 EM. I think I'm going to make it even smaller than this. Well, let's make it 80%, 0.8. So I think that looks great. But now we got that integrated. Let me do one more test on the live website, and we'll move on to the next step. Let's bring this down to a smaller window and see how it adjusts. And some of the mobile styles that I put in place in this are hiding the image once we get below a certain window size. The same goes with the progress bar. I think that gets eliminated at some point, which it might be just under this size. I don't think this window goes under, I want to say maybe 500 pixels, and I think when it drops down below that, I eliminate the progress bar. But this looks good. It's completely mobile responsive, this pop-up window with Fancy Box. And I did all that work on the previous website and just had to copy it over to get it to integrate with this one. I'm going to stop this video. I'll quickly make a list of what I want to finish up, and we'll wrap up this project. So I'm back here with my list of tasks, and we're going to start with finishing off some of these templates. So I am going to change the featured image and title location. I'm going to move the title to below the featured image. This is the blog page, so you can see that it's already working there. But if we jump into one of these posts, it's above the featured image. So I'm going to change that. To do that, we are going to have to go into a couple of these templates, the all post template, and we'll edit that from here. I'd also like to make the meta text smaller. So we'll go into the design meta text section. I'll make this 12 pixels. So there's a little more contrast between the heading, the body text, and the meta text. And I also want to change the meta link color, because the author name and the tags should be linked, but they're the same color as the regular text. I don't think that there's a way to do it from here as far as I can tell. So let me save these changes. So I'll make some of these changes to the featured image and meta text with these other templates, and I'll join you when I'm back. So I updated those templates, and you can see that we got our smaller meta text. So in order to make that link color different, we're going to have to do that with CSS. Let's go into the appearance section, into the customizer, and we'll play around with this until we get it looking correct. So I actually want to just grab this text color, or I'm sorry, the link color, which is a dark red. So I'm going to copy that, and then I want to go into the blog and check out what class we need to target here. So this is a paragraph element with class post meta, and if I go into the link element, that should give us the class that we want to target. So you can see that this is being applied to ETPB post meta A. So let me go back into here. I'm going to add a new section just called post content. And I'll paste in that hex code just so I don't lose that, because I need to copy this other code here. And I think we could do this without targeting this ETPB background layout light. So let me just copy and paste this anchor element. And I'll paste that in here. And we just need to set the color to that hex code that we have copied down here. So I'll cut this and paste that in, and then I think we are going to need to apply the important tag to this in order to get it to override. And there you go, that just changed our link color. And I think that because this is a different Divi module within the single post versus this list of blog posts, we might need to target another class within the single post. So yeah, it looks like it's not applied here. So let's do the same thing. We'll right click, inspect this, and jump into the anchor element. And this is the line that we need to target here. So in order to apply the same style to two elements, you just need to add a comma, put it on a new line, and we got that fixed as well. And there's one really small thing here, the title text. I couldn't find a way to add padding or margin above the title when it's below the featured image, so I just want to put a tiny bit of spacing. So what I'm going to do is just add a padding bottom or a margin bottom to the featured container here. So let's copy that class, and I'll paste that in. Let's do a margin bottom, and I'll make this, let's say, 15 pixels. So that looks a little bit cleaner now. The next thing I want to update, and this one took me a little while to figure out. I had to dive into the code to figure this out, but for some reason on the pages where we're using the default global body, we have the post content module, and you can see we have too much spacing within this post content. Like I said before, I want it to line up with this heading and the featured image, and it's not doing that. And if I jump into the code, I figured out that the reason this is happening is because if you look at the structure of the Divi site, you have a row here, then we have our column, and then we have our featured image and title module, and then we have our post content module. But then within this post content module, Divi, for some reason, and I don't know why this is happening, if it's a bug or whatnot, it's adding another section, another row, another column. So it has a couple more levels of that structure, which is adding all this padding. So I can see right here by hovering over the row section here within the post content module, it's setting the width to 80%. So I need to target this class etpb row, but only do it within the post content module, so I'm not editing the higher level rows where I'm actually controlling that with the Divi builder. So this is a little bit advanced. I don't know if you're going to face this issue. It probably depends on how you build something out using the theme builder. So I'm going to paste in this row class, and it looks like I added an extra dot at the beginning of that. But what I want to do, and they're giving me an error here, I just need to close that off with the two brackets. I want to only target that row within the post content module. So I need to grab the class from the post content module. So let me see if this works. And we're going to set that width, instead of 80%, we're going to set it to 100%. Okay, so we got that now. And I also have a little extra at the top and the bottom, too much padding there. So I'm going to do the same thing. We need to target the section within this, which is one level above the row that we just changed, and also the row has a padding up top as well. So let's set the padding here to 0, and then let's copy this. I'm going to paste it below. Actually, let me do it above since the section is higher level than the row. And we're going to change this to section. And I'm going to remove the width because I don't think the width is set at the section level. Or if it is, we have no problems with it. So now we got that cleaned up within these pages. I also found another guy who encountered the same issue over here on PA Creative. He had another solution just targeting a different class, this ET1, or maybe that's an L, ETL post. But he did the same thing, targeting the row with width equals 100. So we're doing the exact same solution, just targeting different elements on our page. So let me publish these changes. And I got a couple other things. I think the homepage might have been encountering that same issue. Yeah, so now this content is taking up more of the space here. Another thing you notice on the live website is I have check marks for the bullet list with CSS. So let me jump into my CSS code from that website and paste it in here to the staging website. I think it's the style.css file. And yeah, I actually had it selected there from the other day. This is the code for the list with icon styles. I did some custom styles for unordered list and ordered list. So let me paste that in here. I'll also just include that within the post content section. It didn't work here, and that's because by default WordPress has this entry content class, but since we're using the Divi builder, they use a different class name, and that's the ETPB post content class. So if I just replace all these instances of entry content, we should see that it starts to apply. So let me do that. Probably should have done it in bulk on Notepad++, but it's interesting to see how I do it line by line, how it works there. So before we just got a little extra margin. That last one just gave us the check mark. And the rest of these are for ordered lists. So you're not going to see any changes here, but I'll just paste it in to make sure we got that good to go if we do any ordered lists. I also need to update this link. I don't think I put the link in here. So I'm just going to copy this link for the fancy box pop-up and apply it to this button. I need to go into the home template to do that, so I'm not going to worry about doing that right now. I'll do it after I pause the video. That's a really simple change. But we're done with all the templates, so I'm okay with the way that all these templates turned out. Like I said, I may make some really minor changes once I'm done recording this video. The last steps that I want to do are change the font, which I'm importing fonts using Typekit. I want to see if I can apply that. We're going to have to go back to the customize section. I shouldn't have left that. If I go into my style.css file here, I think I apply this to the body. So this is the one that I'm using, Filson Soft. And I'm pretty sure on this website I only use one font. I think on most others I might have two fonts, one for the heading and one for the body text. But we're going to just apply this. I'll just copy this entire body code and just eliminate everything else except that font family. Let's see what that looks like when we paste it into here. And I'll add another section here just called typography. So let's paste that in. And there we go. We got our new font. And like I said, I'm just going to remove all these other lines of CSS code except for the font family. And I'll publish those changes. The final two steps are the favicon, which is just the icon up here. You can see on the live website I just have that same tomato from the logo. I believe we can update that from the customize section. I think it's under the general settings. Let me go into the site identity, and yeah, right here, the site icon. They recommend 512 by 512 pixels. I don't know if I have a file that big, but I'll try and upload what I have. And yeah, the one that I have is 83 pixels by 83, so it's smaller than they recommend, but I'm pretty sure that it only shows within the browser tab and other places where it's small, so I don't think it's going to be a big deal. And we got it working up here now, so we got that matching. The final step is adding our Google Tag Manager code, which enables Google Analytics so we can measure traffic. Obviously, I'm already doing that on the live website, so I just need to insert it. And the way that I did that on the old website was in two spots. I copied over the template for the header.php file from the parent theme to the child theme. That's another reason that you might want to create a child theme. So this was the iThemes Builder header.php file, and I just manually copied and pasted the code right under the head. I don't think it's a big deal, you know, if this is anywhere in the head. They did recommend that it's right after the opening head element, but it probably could be anywhere within here. So what I'm going to do is just copy this and add it to the Divi theme options. So if we go into the theme options integration, right where we inserted the fancy box and the Typekit fonts, I'll put the Google Tag Manager code right at the top there. And then I think that I inserted the body code using the functions.php file, I believe. Yeah, so this was using a hook within the iThemes Builder theme, and that hook was right after the opening body tag. So this was the code that I inserted right after that opening body tag. So I'll just go ahead and copy that, and I'm not sure if this also gets inserted to the top or the bottom of the body tag, but I'm just going to put it in there, and I think it should work. Now I'm not going to test this out because normally I would do this on the live website. I do want to transfer this site over before I do that, and that's going to be done with SiteGround. I'm going to push the staging website to the live website. I'm not going to go through that process on this video. It's pretty self-explanatory. And if you don't have a staging area, you're probably going to have to use a backup plugin, something like Duplicator. But that's all we got for this tutorial. I'm done here. I got everything in place. And if I need to make any minor changes, I can do that on the live website. But let's refresh our page and just go through a couple of these comparisons. So we have the home page there and the home page here. Got it looking almost exactly the same. If I really wanted to dig down, I could make this banner a little bit darker. I could change the padding on the header and the banner area, as well as this section so the image butts up against it. Those are all super minor changes, but we have pretty much everything in place here. We got our pop-up working. If somebody uses this form, they'll sign up to our Mailchimp email list. Let's go to the About page and check that out for a comparison. And the only difference now is that this was full width. I converted that to the sidebar. And what I think I'm going to do on here is just add this image, this blurry image, to the sidebar with a title and make it have the same link as this link, so when somebody clicks on that, it'll open the same pop-up window. If we go over to the blog page, you can see how big I made this font. That's really the major change there. And the other thing with this is that the categories were at the bottom here. My author name was right below the title. Now all that meta information is within one line. The categories are just appended to the end of this. And then if we go into one of the posts, let's check out that same post on here. Like I mentioned, I had all centered. Everything was centered on this entire website. I do kind of like the way that looks, but obviously that's not a big deal. So you can see how that content looks on here. So this was an interesting project. I was a little bit less prepared for this one than I normally am. I've been using Divi a lot in the past, I would say 3 to 4 weeks. I've been doing many sites, doing these conversions from the old theme to the new theme. I'm really getting familiar with Divi, and this is why I highly recommend that you use a theme that allows you to build any type of website and that gives you ways to customize as easy as Divi does. There's a few that you might want to choose, but I chose Divi early on. I bought a lifetime license, which I recommend that you do. And if you found this video helpful, check out the links below, including the link to learn more about Divi. I am an affiliate with Divi, so if you buy through my link, I get a small percentage of that. That's the best way that you can help support this channel so I can make more tutorials like this one. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And if you are a freelancer, you want to learn more about how to build websites for clients, go to my homepage, websiteprofitcourse.com. You can download a free giveaway, 15 tools to start your web design business. Divi's included in that list along with Google Analytics, and I got a handful of others, both when it comes to building the website along with managing it. This was a long one, so I really appreciate it if you made it this far and stuck with me to the end of the video. Make sure you're subscribed up so you can join me on the next one. Thanks a lot, and I hope you have a good one.